Hi, welcome back again. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to deploy this note-taking application that was built with Django and React. I will teach you, I'll guide you on how to deploy this application on render.com. So some months back, I built up this application from scratch using Django and React. And right now in this video, it's time for me to show you how to deploy this full stack web app to the cloud. And we're going to be deploying on render. Remember, this application was built with Django on the back end and React on the front end. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so over here, so here's our backend code instance. So if you check the left panel, we can see we have our Django project, our Django app instance, and we have the database and the manage.py file, right? So on the right hand side, we have our React application instance. So don't worry, this I already made a comprehensive tutorial on how to build this full stack note application you see on my screen. So this is a full stack note application, so you can perform CRUD operations. You can also use the search bar and also filter your notes, right? So I've made a comprehensive video on that, so I'm going to link that video in this video's description. So in this video now, I want to guide you on how to deploy this application to the cloud, you understand? So okay, first thing first, back to our backend code. Let's start with this now. So we have to install Gunicon. So I need to activate my virtual environment. So make sure you create one for yourself. So I have one already, and I called it, I'm going to say work on. So create a virtual environment for yourself. So I'm going to say work on render env. I hope I'm correct. Yes, correct. Render env now. So I have to install Gunicon. So I'm going to say pip install Gunicon. So Gunicon is going to help us run our server in production, you get. So pip install Gunicon, that's the name. Hit enter. So while it's installing now, what's the next thing? Let's wait for it. So while it's installing, we have to create a file called build.xh. So we are going to create that file in the root directory of our project. So I'll just right click here and I'll say new file, and I'll call it build.xh, right? Hit enter. So okay guys, I just finished creating the file called build.sh. You can see it up there. So I'm going to paste this into it. So these are just some simple commands. You can see we have the pip install requirement.txt, the collect static command, and the migrate command. So this command are always going to run whenever we are making our deployments on render. So that's why we need the build.sh file, you get. So we've installed Gunicon, we've configured our build.sh file. The next thing we have to do is to configure white noise. Remember, white noise is responsible for handling our static files in production, you get. So you have to install white noise, you get. So the first thing, let's say pip install white noise. So make sure you have your virtual environment activated. You have to install all these dependencies into the virtual environment to get. So say pip install white noise, hit enter. So while it is installing now, we have to go and read on white noise and Django configuration. So over here, I'll just say Django white noise configuration, Django and white noise. Django and white noise configuration. Hit enter. Okay, so I think this is your docs here. Let's be sure. I'm gonna just scroll down. I'm struggling with my trackpad. Okay, click on that. So we've done. Okay, now click on white noise, the first link on the sidebar. So scroll down. So remember, we have installed white noise. That's the first thing we did. So after you've done that, now we have to add this middleware, this white noise middleware under the security middleware. So just copy it. Hope you can see my screen. Copy and back to here. Where are we? So back to your Django project. In your settings.py file, in the settings.py file, we have to put this command. Bring this guy down. Sorry. So under the security middleware, we have to just paste the white noise middleware. That's where it should be. And what else? So we have to also add the static storage. This static storage, right? Just copy it. Sorry, I'm struggling with my trackpad. Copy, and then back to your code. Go down to your static. Go down to your static configuration. Where do we have it here? It's around there. So just paste that here, and back here, let's see what are we missing. What else is let's see if there's anything we are missing. Okay, now click on using white noise. So click on this side on the nav on the sidebar. Click on the second link, which is using white noise with Django. So click on it. So once you've clicked on it, so let's add the static root. It's very important because this static root is simply a folder that will hold our static files in production. Understand? So yeah, so once we've got that, so paste that just under the static URL, paste it there. So that's it. So we are done with configuring white noise. So I think that's all there is to do with white noise. So once we've done this now, we have to go down to our code and run the command. So we have to list out all our dependencies in a file called requirement.txt, right? So let's do that. Please leave my screen. So I'll say pip phrase requirements.txt. So it's enter. So this command will simply create a file called requirement.txt and to list out all our dependencies for this backend in that file. So here's a file here. If I open the file, you can see now we have all the dependencies this project needs to run, right? So that's it. So once you've done this now, the next thing for us to do is to go down to render. So we are back now on render.com. Render now. So if you don't have an account on Render, you can create an account using your GitHub account. It's very easy. So once you've done that now, click on this dashboard on the top right. Okay, so here's my render dashboard, right? So before we proceed with render, we have to push our code to GitHub again. So I have to go down to GitHub now. Let's create a repository quickly. So GitHub, it's enter. So I want to create a repository where I can push my backend code to. You understand? So click on the plus button, new repository on the top right. Yeah. Let me just make this big enough. So to do this, you click on the plus icon up here on the top right, the plus icon, you can see it. Click on it, new repository. You get. So once you've done this now, you can come over here and create a repository. I'll call this Notes API, right? So we can skip the description for now. It can be a public repository if you want to. So just scroll down to the end and click on create repository, create repo. Yeah, so we've got this. Nice. So back now to my backend code. So over here, I'll open a new git bash. You can use command prompt if you want to, but I love using the git bash, right? So once you are here, we have to initialize git into our projects. So say git init, hit enter. So I'm going to say git add then dots. Next thing, I'm going to commit our change. We're going to say git commit, and you can pass any message of your choice. Git commits, and I'll say initial commits. Yeah. And then we can the next thing we have to do now, let's rename the master branch to main. I'm going to say git branch hyphen capital M and then main. So we are trying to rename the master branch to main, right? We are trying to rename the master branch to main. So we've done that, and now we have to copy our this remote URL, this remote origin. Just copy it, Ctrl C, and back here paste in what we copied. Yeah, hit enter, and next thing you have to push, you're going to say git push origin main. So right now this last command is going to push our code straight to GitHub. So it's okay, it's done pushing. Down to the browser, refresh this page, refresh. And nice, because now we have our backend, we have our API now on GitHub, so we can go back to render and continue. So back here on my render dashboard, so you can see we have this plus button on top. Click on it, click on web service from the drop down, web service. So it's loading up. So once you've clicked on it now, so you can see on the right, click on those credentials, click on it, and then click on configure GitHub. So we have a pop-up window now. So I'm going to click on my GitHub account. Mine is called Code with Clinton. That's the first one. So click on it. Okay, now so right now we want to pick the repository we are trying to deploy. You get, so we just scroll down. So click on this drop down. Click on it. And right now I can just search for notes. I think I called my notes API. Notes API. Where are you? Show yourself. I think this is it. Click on it. That's the last one. Once you've clicked on it, click on the save button. Click on the save button, and now we are being brought down to render again. So it's loading now. So okay, we are back here. So because we have our Notes API on top, click on the first link. Click. Okay, after clicking on it, you have to scroll down and click on connect. Sorry, I didn't see that. Scroll down and click on connect. So it's connecting. Yeah, so we are here. Okay, we are here. So as for the build command, we are going to simply everything. I'm just going to call this notes API. Let's see if that will go. I hope that should go. Notes API. Hope it has not been used. And then I'll scroll down, and this build command is meant to be our build.sh. Remember that file? I'm going to say sh build.sh. Okay, and as for the start command, that should be Gonicon, then the name of our Django project, and that is called, what's the name again? The name is called yt_notes. That's the folder that holds your settings.py file, the folder that holds your settings.py file. You understand? So ours is called yt_notes. Okay, back to the browser. I'll say Gonicon yt_notes.wsgi. Yeah, this file you see here, this wsgi file, this file. So back here, back to the browser, .wsgi. Yeah, and there should be application. I think that's it. So Notes API is already in use. We just say notes. Yeah, notes. Should we say notes backend? Yeah, notes backend is fine. So I think scroll down. We've filled in the necessary stuff. So right now we are going to pick the OP project because this is a tutorial. So I'll select this, the free plan, and then scroll down, and then click on deploy web service. So we have to give this a few minutes for it to get deployed. It says getting ready for the deployment. Okay. So you can see over here it's saying building. Over here it says building, right? So now it's building. Right now it is installing our dependencies it is installing the dependencies from our requirement.txt file. So we have to wait for it to be finished, and once it's done, we are going to proceed. You get, so let's see. So right now it is deploying from the message you see here. So it's very easy to do. So let's wait for it. So why deploying? We got an error message due to the allowed host. Instead, we are meant to add our new URL, our new domain to the allowed host instead. So we have to copy this and back to our Django project now. Over to the settings.py file, to our settings.py file, we have to add this new domain to this allowed host you get. So you paste what you copied, and while you paste it there, so you have to remove this HTTPS, remove that part. We don't need that part. We only need the raw. We only need the domain itself. Remove the HTTPS and the / So then we have to put in our local host. It's going to be 127.0.0.1, and the last one should be local host, right? So local hosts. So we've got these three now. Once you've done this now, we have to push again to GitHub. So simply just say git add. I will say git commits. We'll say added allowed hosts. Now then we'll say git push. origin main. So let's wait for it. So it's be okay. It's almost okay now. It's done pushing to GitHub. Back here is GitHub. Which I just got a message. Here's GitHub. Show yourself. I can't find GitHub. Okay, here's my GitHub now. Refresh the page. Let's see if it's done pushing. Okay, you can see, just see it says added allowed host try. So back to render. So you can see we have this button on top here, manual deploy. Right, so click on the drop down and then click on deploy latest commits. Click on it. So after clicking on that now, so you're going to simply restart the build again with our latest commits. Hope you get. So you can see now it's building. So it's not going to take as much time as it did before. Let's just wait for it. So it is uploading the build. Let's wait for it. So it says build successful. And once it's successful, I think it will start the deployment. To start deploying it, so it's deploying now. And once the deploy is done, it should be live, right? So now let's wait. It's deploying, so let's wait for it. Okay, it's almost done. So okay, so now it says our service is live, right? Our backend is now live. So let's open on a new tab. Okay, go down to /notes. Hit enter. Right now you can see our notes and it's live on the internet. It's now live. Our backend is live, right? So let's go to the front end. So we are done with deploying the backend, right? So over to the front end. Yeah, that's our front end now. So I told before, I already made a comprehensive tutorial on how I build this notes application. So this is a note. So this is a crude notes application. Everybody can come on board. You can create notes. You can view your notes. You can update. You can delete, and you can also search and filter through the notes. Understand? So this is a comprehensive notes application, and I made a tutorial I think a month ago. I'm going to link the video in this video description so you can check it out if you want to. So now we are done with deploying the backend. So the next thing we want to do is to try the new live URL with the front end. Our front end is still on local environment. Okay, so our front end is still on local environment. Okay, if I open the source folder, back to my, let's open the page. I'm going to open my no detail page. I want to show you. Sorry for that noise. My mouse is kind of okay. So okay, you can see now. This is what we have here is the backend development URL. You can see we have it here. We have it in some other pages. Understand? So if I go down to the add notes page, where are you? Show yourself. You can see we also have it here. So we want to use the live URL this time. So we don't want to use this local environment URL again, right? So what do we do? It's simple. So you have to just simply get the new URL. It's here. I think this is it. You just copy this. We are going to copy the roots URL, just the roots. Yeah, and then copy it to the end. Ctrl C. Before you copy it, come over here. So I'll copy this development URL. I'll copy it. Right, just Ctrl C, and then click on the search icon on the left on your VS Code. Click on the search icon. Paste what you copied there. So once you replace every instance of this local backend URL with the live URL. That's what we want to do with VS Code. So I'm going to copy the new URL now. Just copy the roots. Don't copy the notes, just the roots itself. Ctrl C. I mean, you're meant to just copy this exact URL. This one. Yeah, copy this one. Don't include this note. Don't include it. So back to the front end. So I'll paste the new URL. Yeah, so I want to simply replace every instance of the old URL with the new URL. Understand? So you just click on replace all. I think there are 7 of them. Click on this replace all, right? Click on it. You can see it's asking replace 7 occurrences across 3 files. Yes, replace. So you can see now, right now we're no longer using the local URL. We are now using the live backend URL instead. So we check other pages, no detail page. We are using the live backend URL. If I go down to my notes application, my notes app, this is the front end. The front end is still in local environment. The front end is still running on our local environment, but the backend is now live. So right now we want to deploy the front end. The front end was built up with React. So right now it's time for us to deploy this front end, so you can access this application from anywhere you are in the world. You get, because currently the front end is still on the local environment. So let's deploy the front end now. Okay, so right now it's time for us to deploy the front end. The front end is React. Let's deploy the front end. We're done deploying the back end, so now let's deploy the front end. You get, so back to our front end code over here. So I'm going to open my terminal, click on terminal, new terminal. So let's open this quickly. So over here, let me just close I don't work with the PowerShell, I prefer using the command prompts. Remove this. Let's open a new command prompt. So over here, I'm going to run this command npm run build. So it's important. So npm run build. Okay, so let's wait for it. Okay, it's building up our project for us. It's going to build it into a folder called dist. So let's wait for it as it creates. So while it is building up, let's go create a Git repository for our front end. So click on this plus icon above, new repository, and I'll call this, let's call it notes app, right? So scroll down, let's leave it public, and then create repository. Okay, now so we have our new repository now. So now let's see if this is done. Okay, it is done building now. You can see we have this folder now called dist. This folder was not there before. It was newly added. You get, so let's push to GitHub. Before we push, you have to initialize Git. It's going to say git init, right? So git init, and then I'm going to say git add dots, and then git commit. Let's say initial commit. And then we'll say git push origin, and then main. Okay, sorry, before we push anything, I forgot, you have to rename our master branch. I'm going to say git branch main. Yeah, we just rename the master branch to main, and then we have to copy this remote URL, git remote, copy it, paste it here, and once that's done, you can then say git push origin main. So don't worry, we already have a guide. There is a guide on GitHub gave us a guide already. So once you create your repository, just follow these commands from git init downwards. You're going to push your code live to GitHub. From this git init, instead you can leave this echo. The echo is not compulsory, the first line, but if you want to add it, you can add it, but it's not compulsory. So from git init down to git push, those are the important lines you need to run to push your code to GitHub. So right now you have our code on Git. We have our code pushed now. Come over here and refresh the page, and boom, we have our code now on GitHub. That's good. So let's close most of these guys. We don't need them. So okay, yeah. So now back to render. We are now on render again. So click on the plus icon, but this time we are going to be deploying a static site. So click on static sites. For the backend, we click on it, we deploy the web service, but this time we're deploying a static site. So now once you are here, so click on this credentials, configure GitHub. So we are going to pick up our front-end repository, configure. I click on my username, that's my GitHub account. So you click on yours too. So and then I'm going to click on this drop down button, and then I'm going to just say notes. Remember, the repository is called notes hub. If you remember, that's what it's called, and that's what we have it up here. Just click on it. This was as it, and then save. So we are getting redirected back to render, right? And now we are back on render. So you can see we have our note app on top. Click on it, scroll down, and let's connect. So if you're enjoying the video, drop a like, subscribe, understand, drop a comment. That'll go a long way. So let me just call the name of this. Let me just say my notes. Let me just as the name of our let's call it my notes. Understand? So you scroll down. So as for this published directory, every other thing here can remain as it is. But for this published directory, it is meant to point down to the dist folder. This dist folder that was newly created after we ran the command npm run build. So over here, we're going to put the dist. We're going to say dist, right? We've got that there. Okay, I think we are good. And then click on deploy static sites. Let's wait for it. It's loading, it's building. To take some time, but let's wait for it. So you can see right now, you can see our site is live, right? Perfect. Let's see. This is the URL. Just open this on a new tab. Let's see. Oh, nice. Our site is truly live, but it's going to keep on. It will just keep on loading like this. The reason is because we need to add this new front-end URL to the backend. I'll show you. So our front-end is live, but we are not done. We are not done yet. So back to our backend now. Back to the backend. Oh, sorry, that's my Spotify. Back to the backend code. Over to your settings.py file. I find it hard to pronounce settings. I don't know. So we have a place called allowed origins. Okay, yeah, course allowed origins. You can see from here now we are only allowing this front-end URL. So we can either allow the localhost 5173 or localhost 5174 instance. So these are the only two domains that can consume the backend. If you check closely, these are live front-end. And this is a local front end. The local front end is able to consume the backend because the URL here is in the allowed origin. That local URL is in the allowed origin. But if you check now, the live this is the live front end. It is a static dummy site. It is static. It needs a backend, right? So we have to add this front-end URL to the allowed origin before it can communicate with our backend effectively. So I'll copy it now and back to our Django, back to our code now. We have to paste this, right? So remove the /. So once you've pasted this, now we have to push our code to GitHub. We have to push to GitHub. We're not done because it won't work. Nope. It won't work. So we have to push the code. We have to push our code to GitHub again, and we deploy on render, right? So we're gonna say git add dots, and we're gonna say git commits. We're gonna say added front end URL, and then say git push origin and then main. Git push origin main. Okay, we just push now to GitHub. So back to render, where are you? Yeah. Okay, now we are back now at render. So we have to go back to our backend. So our, what's it called? Let's go to our backend deployments. This is the front end. So click on this dashboard on top here. You can see we have our notes backend. This is our notes backend over here. It's deploying, right? You can see it's deploying the new change we pushed. It's automatic. Let's wait for it to deploy. We can click on it if you want to. Click on it. It's probably okay. Let's be sure it is deploying. Just click on events. So click on this latest deploy. This is the new deploy we made. Click on it. Okay, you can see it says in progress. It's deploying. Okay, now it's deploying. So let's wait for it. Understand? So if let's assume it wasn't deploying, you know what to do. You come just above here and click on this manual deploy and deploy latest commits. Right? You can do that too. So it's deploying. Let's wait for it. So nice. It says now our service is live. Right? It's live. So I'm just okay. Everything should be fine. So back to this front end. Our front end is still loading. Just refresh the page. Let's hope it works. Perfect. You can see now we have our nodes listed out now. So this is now a full stack application. The front end and the back end are both live and they are communicating with each other. Understand? So I can decide to click on the nodes, click on it, right? I can decide to update it if I want to. If I just say clients call, let me just put in -3 there, right? So I want to update it now. Just click on the update button. Dates, you can see it has been updated, right? So it's working very fine. Understand? So you can decide to add a new note if you want to. Understand? You can search for notes if you want to. If you gain some value from this video, what are you waiting for? Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you again in the next video. So stay blessed and bye bye.